My brother framed me at work while I was covering his shifts for free, so I got him fired and took his promotion silently. I'm a 28-year-old guy, and I've always been the responsible sibling. You know the type, the one who pays bills on time, shows up early, bites their tongue for the sake of keeping the peace. That's me. Meanwhile, my younger brother Tyler, who's 25, has always been the golden boy. Charming, laid back, good with excuses, and even better at making our mom swoon with words like, "I'm just figuring things out, Mom. I work in corporate logistics." It's not glamorous, but it's stable. Long hours, spreadsheets, problem solving, and putting out fires other people start. I've worked my way up slowly, earning the trust of my managers and never rocking the boat. That's how I got the pull to help Tyler when he said he needed just one shot. He was unemployed, again, and Mom practically begged me to talk to HR on his behalf. So I did. I vouched for him, told them he was smart and reliable. Told myself he'd finally step up instead. He started calling in sick almost immediately. Flu 1 week, migraine the next. A car issue that somehow lasted 4 days. And each time I got the same text from him. "Bro, can you cover for me just this once? I'll owe you big." I'd roll my eyes, sigh, and head in. Because I didn't want his screw-ups to reflect on me. Or worse, get him fired and have Mom guilt-trip me into oblivion. So I handled his shifts, worked double time, kept everything afloat. But something was shifting. My coworkers were starting to notice. "Man, do you ever leave this place? Tyler's sick again, huh?" I laughed it off. Told myself it was temporary. I had no idea I was setting myself up for a betrayal I wouldn't see coming. At first, I kept telling myself it was just temporary. Tyler just needed time to adjust, right? He wasn't used to real responsibility. Maybe he was overwhelmed, or maybe he just didn't get how corporate life works. I thought, if I keep covering for him, at least it won't look bad on the family. I didn't want the same people who respected me to start whispering that my brother was a screw-up. So I kept stepping in, especially on weekends. No one officially asked me to. I just did it. Tyler would text me Friday night something vague like, "Not feeling too great. Can you back me up?" And I'd already be laying out my work shirt, sighing. Then one day, while I was waiting for a meeting to start, I opened Instagram. Tyler had posted a photo of himself holding a cocktail on the beach. Literally on the beach. Caption, "Deserved." No mention of being sick. No hint of shame. I felt my stomach twist. Meanwhile, my coworkers started making little jokes. "You sleeping under your desk now? They should name a conference room after you." "Tyler's still out sick?" I forced a laugh each time. Pretended I didn't care. But inside, I felt like an idiot. Like I was babysitting a grown man while he sipped mojitos. Then, my manager called me into his office. He shut the door, smiled, and said, "You've been pulling a lot of weight lately. Upper management is noticing. There might be something bigger opening up soon." And just like that, I felt hope. I thought maybe all this sacrifice would finally pay off. Didn't know then that it would cost me more than I could imagine. It happened on a Thursday morning, the kind of day that starts normal and ends with your entire world collapsing. I was halfway through my coffee when my manager's voice came over the intercom, asking me to come to the logistics office immediately. His tone was off, tight, clipped. When I walked in, the regional supervisor and an HR rep were sitting there too. My stomach dropped. "We need to ask you some questions about last night's shipment," the HR woman said, her voice careful, like I was already guilty. Apparently, one of our most expensive shipments, high-value electronics, had gone missing. The security footage showed someone at the loading dock signing off the release after hours, and that someone was me. They played the footage. I stared at the screen, frozen. It looked like me. Same build, same uniform, same ID badge. But I hadn't even been near that dock after my shift. I remembered exactly where I was, finishing reports in my cubicle until midnight, nowhere near the loading bay. "That's not me," I said quietly. "I didn't sign anything, but they already had the paperwork. My name scrawled across the release forms, my employee ID logged. It was like someone had built a perfect digital frame around me." "Are you saying this isn't your signature?" HR asked, sliding the document toward me. I looked at it. It was close. Close enough that anyone else would have believed it. My hands went cold. By the end of that meeting, I was placed on suspension without pay pending investigation. My manager wouldn't even look me in the eye. Walking out of the building that day, I felt hollow. I'd worked for years to build that reputation, the dependable one, the fixer, the responsible brother, and in a single morning, it was all gone. And deep down, one name kept echoing in my head: Tyler. I drove home in silence that night. No music, no calls, just the sound of my own breath trying not to break. My hands were still shaking from the meeting. Suspension. No pay. No clue how to clear my name. When I walked through the door, Tyler was already lounging on the couch, scrolling through his phone like nothing had happened. He looked up and gave me this half smile, like he was forcing himself to seem surprised. "Dude, what the hell happened? Mom told me you got in trouble?" I stared at him, trying to keep my voice steady. "That shipment theft? The one on your shift? They think I did it. The footage, the paperwork, it's all fake. Someone framed me." He raised an eyebrow and gave a little shrug. "That's wild. Maybe you got confused? Like, maybe you forgot you signed something?" "Confused, forgot." My jaw clenched so tight I thought I'd crack a tooth. I pulled out my phone to show him the text messages, the proof that I'd covered his shift. But the thread was gone. All of it. Vanished. He'd deleted it. Just then, Mom walked in from the kitchen. "You're home early," she said. "Didn't I tell you not to overwork yourself?" I turned to her, voice trembling. "Mom, I'm being investigated for theft. Tyler was supposed to work that shift. I covered for him. He knows it." She frowned and looked at Tyler, who gave her the world's most innocent face. Then she looked back at me. "You're always blaming Tyler for your problems. Maybe it's time to look in the mirror." That's when it hit me. They didn't believe me. Worse, they never really had. I spent the next 3 days locked in my apartment, blinds drawn, phone off, pacing like a caged animal. I kept replaying that footage in my head over and over. The way the figure moved, the perfect angle of the camera, the signature that looked just like mine. It wasn't just a misunderstanding. Someone had planned this, and only one person had the motive and the access: Tyler. I tried to push the thought away. It was too ugly to sit with. But it kept clawing its way back. He was the only one who benefited. He got a free shift, no questions asked. He had my trust. He had my phone in his hands more than once. Then I got a message from Sarah, one of the few people at work I actually trusted. "Hey, not sure if this means anything, but someone saw your brother near the control room Tuesday night." "Weird, right?" I froze. That was the night before the footage surfaced. Tyler had no reason to be near the control room unless he was the one behind the footage, and then it clicked. I remembered, years ago, watching him on his laptop, giggling while he edited one of his stupid prank videos. He'd learned basic video editing in high school. Even joked once I could make anyone look guilty if I wanted to. I laughed back then. Thought it was just typical Tyler nonsense. Now I wasn't laughing. I wasn't even breathing. He'd set me up. I could feel it in my bones. But gut instinct wouldn't clear my name. If I was going to take him down and save what was left of my career, I needed hard proof. Real evidence. And I needed it before HR made my suspension permanent. I was sitting at my kitchen table, staring at the same cold cup of coffee for hours, when my phone buzzed, a text from Sarah. "You're not going to believe this. Tyler just got promoted. Your position." For a second, I thought it was a joke, some messed up prank to make me laugh through the misery. But I opened the company's internal portal and there it was, his name, his title, my role. The one I had worked toward for 3 years. Handed to him on a silver platter while I was suspended like a criminal, I drove to the office. I shouldn't have. I was technically barred from entering the premises, but I needed to see it with my own eyes. Through the glass break room window, I saw him holding a styrofoam cup and giving a smug little speech to a few coworkers. Hard work pays off, right? Guess management finally saw who's really pulling the weight around here. Laughter. Claps on the back. Like he was the second coming of Steve Jobs. I stood there frozen, rage flooding every inch of my body. For a brief moment, I considered marching in and throwing every receipt I had at the floor like a movie scene, screaming, exposing him, demanding justice. But something stopped me. I looked at him, smiling, soaking in credit he hadn't earned, and realized that he wasn't smart. Just manipulative, and manipulation only works until it hits a wall, so I turned and walked away. I didn't quit. I didn't explode. Instead, I sat in my car and said out loud, "You picked the wrong brother to mess with." Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't going to play the quiet scapegoat. I was going to play smart. The next day, I bought a burner phone and turned it into a full-time recorder. If Tyler wanted to play dirty, I'd stop giving him clean space to move in. From that moment on, every call, every conversation, every word he spoke to me, it all got recorded. I encrypted the files, backed them up in the cloud, labeled every single one by date and location. If he even slipped up once, I'd be ready. He'd always treated me like I was slow, predictable, easy to trick. That was about to change. I also started collecting digital receipts, old text messages, emails from coworkers, time logs, anything that might have a shred of inconsistency. I was building a timeline, a story, a case. But the break came from the most unexpected place, an IT intern named Liam. I remembered he once mentioned in passing during lunch how the security cameras logged every user login, even failed ones. So I reached out casually, offering to pick his brain about systems access. Over coffee, I fed him the scenario like it was a hypothetical. If someone accessed the video archives from a shared admin login, would the system know who it actually was? Liam grinned. If they were dumb enough to forget to hide their device ID? Absolutely. My heart nearly stopped. Over the next week, Liam helped me trace access logs. What we found made my skin crawl. Someone had accessed the security system at 2:13 a.m., the night before the footage was submitted, from a device not assigned to any admin, but linked to the internal network. It wasn't proof yet, but the pieces were finally lining up. Now I just needed one more thing. Someone on the inside who could confirm the device belonged to Tyler. Desperation makes you start noticing. People you used to overlook. That's how I found myself chatting with Miguel, the night shift janitor who's worked in the building longer than most of the management. We'd crossed paths 100 times before, but I'd never really spoken to him beyond a polite nod or quick, "Hey." But this time, I lingered in the back lot where he took his smoke breaks. I asked him casually if he'd seen anything strange the night before the security footage was pulled. His eyes narrowed. "You mean when your brother was creeping around the control room?" I blinked. "Wait, what?" He leaned in, lowering his voice. "Yeah, it was weird. Most people clock out and leave, but he was standing near the monitor room, looking around like he was hiding something. Thought he was drunk or something. Then he plugged in a little USB stick and just stood there." I felt a chill run through my spine. Miguel didn't know what he'd seen, but I did. Tyler had accessed the camera system. He'd inserted that USB to upload the altered footage. "Would you be willing to write that down? Or tell someone officially?" I asked. He hesitated. "Not if it's going to come back on me. I got a family, man, but I'll tell someone if it's anonymous." That was more than enough. I recorded our conversation while with his permission and backed it up with my growing case. File, emails, access logs, audio, photos, it was all in a locked cloud folder now. Labeled, "If I disappear." I wasn't just collecting evidence. I was building a truth bomb, and when it exploded, it wouldn't just clear my name, it would end his career. Justice wasn't a dream anymore. It was getting close. I thought I had everything. A digital trail. Testimony from Miguel. Device logs from Liam, my recordings, my receipts. I spent 2 full days organizing it all, cross-referenced, time-stamped, and presented in a clean PDF packet like some courtroom exhibit. I wrote a cover letter explaining everything in detail and sent it directly to HR with the subject line: "Urgent, false suspension, security footage, tampering evidence enclosed." Then I waited. A day passed, then 3, then 7. On the 8th day, I got the email. Short, clinical. "We have reviewed your submission and concluded our investigation. Based on the evidence provided, our original decision will stand. Your suspension remains in effect. You may choose to resign, effective immediately." That was it. No mention of Tyler, no acknowledgement of the proof. Just a dismissal, as if none of it mattered. I sat in my car in the office parking lot, engine off, the winter air fogging up the windshield. My hands were on the steering wheel, but I couldn't feel them. For the first time in my life, I felt completely invisible. All my loyalty, my overtime, my silence, my sacrifices, all of it tossed aside like garbage, and Tyler, he'd won. Again. I closed my eyes and let the numbness swallow me whole. I thought about quitting, about walking away, about vanishing. I had no fight left in me. Then my phone buzzed. It was Liam, the IT intern. "Hey," he said, voice low. "I just saw something in the server logs. You were right. You were so right. But you sent it to the wrong person." My heart kicked back to life. "What do you mean?" "You need to send this higher. Way higher. I've got something that'll blow this whole thing open." Rock bottom had a trap door, and I wasn't done falling. Yet Liam wasn't kidding. He had something big. We met in his car 2 blocks from the office. He opened his laptop, glanced around like we were spies, and said, "Watch this." He pulled up a server log archive I'd never seen before, apparently not part of what HR normally checked. On it, in cold time-stamped black and white, was exactly what I needed: an access ping to the security footage server. From an unregistered device, at 2:13 a.m., the night before the altered video was submitted. "This device doesn't belong to any admin or authorized staff," Liam said. "But I traced the IP, guess who it matches?" My pulse thudded in my ears. Tyler. Bingo. Liam even pulled up cached screen recordings of the session, brief clips showing the login page, the USB mount, and footage playback being opened in an editor window. It was surgical, deliberate. We layered everything: the metadata, the IP address, Miguel's statement, my shift logs, Tyler's own request for coverage, even the forged signature, into one airtight report. 43 pages of evidence, annotated, time-stamped, verified, but this time I didn't send it to HR. I didn't trust them. I sent it straight to the regional director. No subject line. No long email. Just a single sentence: "I've been falsely suspended. Here is the real story," and the document link. I hit send, then sat back and stared at the screen. I didn't know what would happen next, but I knew one thing: Tyler left digital breadcrumbs everywhere, and now he was going to choke on them. 3 days passed. No reply, no call, no update. I told myself not to get my hopes up, that even with all that proof, Tyler might still walk away clean. He always did, but something felt different this time. Like I'd cracked something bigger than just a lie. I'd forced it into the light. That Thursday, I got a message from Sarah, just one line: "You might want to come by the office today." I parked across the street, stayed out of sight. Around 11:30 a.m., I saw Tyler being called into the corner office. He looked relaxed, almost cocky, phone in hand, cup of coffee like it was just another day. 20 minutes later, he came out without the coffee, without the phone, without the swagger. His face was pale, his jaw locked tight. His eyes scanned the hallway like he was looking for something, maybe a camera, maybe someone to blame. He stormed past Sarah without a word, didn't even look back. By 5 p.m., his name was gone from the internal directory. No email announcement, no HR memo. Just a quiet removal, like he'd never been there at all. He was officially terminated, and no one said a thing. No one had to. The silence said it all. I never told my mom, never sent a message, never gloated. When Tyler texted me later that night, just 3 words: "You did this." I didn't even reply. I stared at the screen, then locked my phone and went to bed early for the first time in months. No justice speech. No public takedown, just quiet, perfect consequences. A week after Tyler's silent exit, I was making breakfast when the notification pinged on my laptop. Subject: offer of promotion. I clicked it slowly, not daring to breathe. And there it was. "We're pleased to offer you the position of Logistics Operations Supervisor. Effective immediately. No mention of the suspension. No apology. Just a clean reset, like the mess had never happened." But I didn't need an apology. I didn't need anything but that title, and the peace that came with it. I accepted the offer with a calm smile. No fanfare, just a silent nod to the version of me who nearly gave up. The raise was decent. The hours were better, and the respect, immediate. People who had kept their distance before were now patting me on the back, saying things like, "You deserve this from the start." We all knew something was off. Glad the right person got it. I just smiled, said thank you, and kept walking. Tyler, meanwhile, wasn't so lucky. Sarah told me, quietly behind a closed door, that word had gotten out. He'd been blacklisted from at least 2 partner companies. His name was flagged for ethics concerns and internal misconduct. Rumors swirled. No one knew the details, but everyone seemed to know something happened. And not in his favor, my mom, still in the dark. She kept texting me updates about how worried she was about Tyler. He's been moody lately. I think he's going through something. Have you talked to him? I hadn't answered yet. Not because I didn't know what to say, but because I was waiting for the right moment, not for revenge. Not to rub it in, just to finally let the truth speak for itself. It happened over dinner, just me and Mom. She'd made her usual baked ziti, the kind she used to serve on report card nights when Tyler got a C+ and I got straight A's, and somehow he still got the biggest slice. Old habits die hard, I guess. We were halfway through the meal when she set her fork down and said it like she was commenting on the weather. Do you know what happened to Tyler's job? I didn't flinch, just shrugged. Not really. She sipped her water and gave this heavy sigh like she was carrying the weight of the world. He says the company targeted him, said he made one mistake and they treated him like a criminal. He's been down lately, quiet, depressed. I nodded slowly, pushing a piece of pasta around my plate. He's not himself, she continued. I just wish someone would give him a break. That was it. The final nudge. The last little spark of denial she was clinging to. I looked up at her, calm and steady. Maybe he wasn't the victim this time. She blinked, like I'd just spoken a language she didn't recognize. I didn't explain. I didn't unload the files or drop a monologue. I just stood up, carried my plate to the sink and said, "Thanks for dinner." As I walked out, I caught a glimpse of her face, frozen, confused. Not angry, but unsure of what she'd just heard. For the first time, I didn't feel the need to clean up the mess. I just let it sit in the silence, right where it belonged. Growing up, I thought family meant protection, that no matter how bad things got, the people who shared your blood would stand by you, not because you were perfect, but because you were theirs. I thought loyalty came built in, automatic, unshakable, but this whole mess with Tyler, it tore that illusion to pieces. He didn't just betray me at work. He betrayed years of trust. He watched me cover for him, lose sleep for him, risk my own reputation for him, and he still framed me without flinching. That takes a kind of cold I didn't think existed in someone raised under the same roof. And Mom? She didn't help him scheme, but she handed him the matches and turned her back while he lit the fire. Every time she excused his behavior, every time she said, "He's just figuring it out," she gave him the green light to walk all over me. I used to be furious. At both of them now, I'm not angry anymore. I'm just clear on where my boundaries lie, clear on what I'll never tolerate again, clear that just because someone is family doesn't mean they get to treat you like a doormat and still expect Sunday dinners and birthday calls. Loyalty is earned. Respect is earned. Blood isn't enough anymore. Tyler burned that bridge, and Mom? She stood on the shore and watched the flames. So no, I don't feel guilty for cutting that part of my life off. I just feel free. That chapter is closed, and this time I'm not turning back to check if they're following. I moved into a new apartment last month. Nothing flashy, just clean walls, quiet neighbors, and a view that reminds me the world is bigger than old wounds. I finally sleep through the night. No late night pacing, no anxiety about what mess I'll have to fix in the morning. Work's been steady. My new title carries weight, and the respect feels real this time, earned, not borrowed from someone else's charm. People knock on my door now when they need solutions. There's no more whispering behind my back, only nods in the hallway and firm handshakes in the elevator. Tyler, on the other hand, well, he's vanished from every professional circle we used to share. Can't keep a job longer than a few weeks. Red flag, I overheard someone call him at a networking event. Word gets around fast when the stink of sabotage clings to your name. Family friends have started asking quiet questions. What happened to Tyler? He seemed like such a good kid. It's strange how you flourished since he left the company. I just smile, keep my hands folded. I don't gloat. I don't explain. I let the silence do what it does best, speak for itself. Mom still doesn't know the full story. Or maybe she does and just doesn't want to admit it. Either way, I've stopped waiting for acknowledgement. I don't need validation anymore. Revenge? I used to think it needed fire, screaming courtroom moments. Turns out the best revenge is getting everything they tried to take from you, without them ever being invited to see it. I didn't ruin his life. He handed it to me, because he thought I'd stay quiet forever. I used to lie awake at night fantasizing about revenge. I imagined Tyler being exposed in front of the whole office, Mom finally realizing how wrong she'd been, people apologizing for ever doubting me. I thought justice had to be loud. A speech, a scene, a climax where I got to say, "I told you so." But it never came like that. And I'm glad it didn't, because what I really wanted wasn't revenge. It was respect, not just from my family, from myself. I wanted to stop being the person who carried everyone else's weight, who stayed quiet to keep the peace, who let people walk over him because he thought family meant unconditional tolerance. Now, I don't explain myself anymore. I don't justify my choices. I don't chase closure from people who showed me over and over that they don't deserve my honesty. I don't hate Tyler. I don't even think about him most days. I just know he'll never get close to my life again. As for Mom, she still texts sometimes. Short, polite messages. I respond when I feel like it. There's no malice there, just distance. A boundary that should have been set a long time ago, and that's what winning really looks like. Not proving them wrong. Not rubbing it in. Just healing so fully, they don't even recognize the version of you that survived without them. If you're reading this and waiting for your big revenge moment, you don't need it. Silence isn't weakness. Sometimes it's the strongest move you can make. And when you finally walk away, that's when you start to win.